is, I
You
guess.
had something on this?
Yeah, this was a lot. For one, he just said that was a list of women's fantasies.
Top 10 reported by women, yeah.
Now, remember previously how I told you that women say something and do something else? Now, if you ask the common women, they just said that's their biggest fear. But you just did a poll that's their biggest fantasy. So you see how women can say one thing and think and do something totally different? So I just want to say that. Two, it's very alarming that women would rather take a chance with a wild animal who is extremely unpredictable over a man who can possibly not do none of those things. That there is a potential with a man. There is no potential with the bear. None. He's going to kill you or kill you later. So for women to pick the bear over a man who can potentially build a fort with you, make a campfire, and just totally assume he's going to hurt you, it's just very disturbing that women have these, or at least they say they have these fantasies that men will just do this. They just assume such negativity about men. It's just kind of disturbing to hear that. It's like, I would never take a chance with a wild, ravaging bear than a human being without having a chance to, I can't even talk to the bear. You can at least bargain with the man, maybe. You just discarded the common interest of talking over a savage beast. It's just crazy how women think today. No offense.
I think it's disturbing that we've been in positions where we feel that way.
Yeah.
Rather than...
Wait, can I? Go ahead. Do you have
No, I do.
Andrew sent you text.
Yeah, that's what. But that sounds good. But according to the list, the number one fantasy of women is the thing that you all are saying that you hate.
That doesn't mean we want it to happen to us in real life.
I don't believe you do. I'm just saying. It's just it just shows the duplicitous, contradictory nature of women that I spoke of earlier.
But
if you follow, I'm gonna let y'all retort. I'm gonna let y'all retort. I'm not saying y'all feel this way. I'm just saying, it's just proof of the contradictory nature of following what women say as according to what they do. Because I feel like most women should feel how y'all feel, but according to his poll, the number one thing was the most appalling thing that they're saying out of their mouths. And it's just contradictory. Like when that movie Shades of Grey came out, women love that shit.
A fantasy is in a safe situation. It actually happening in an abusive way is not something you're saying.
How is assault a fantasy?
And also, let me add to this, a lot of SA victims will fantasize
over trauma.
Their trauma. Even though it was a bad experience for them, they then fetishize their own trauma.
As a man, I would never fetishize somebody beating me.
And you're a man. We are women.
Yeah.
I don't, like I say, what y'all say and what y'all do is two different things. It don't make sense. I don't see how you can fantasize about something that you put on, that you deem is so negative.
You don't understand, but it's just genuinely science.
And there's men that's been essayed that do fantasize over...
No, they end up being that. They turn all the way over. That's what they do.
I would also like to ask, I guess, what is the percentage of these, like this statistic that we got in from the poll? How many women, what country were they from, what age demographics were they? There's just so many other questions. How many women?
I'll tell you the answers to that. So this is centered around mostly the Western world. These polls were done between Australia, Western Europe, and the United States, Canada, things like this. And the way that they gathered the data was from dating sites, for the most part. They gather them from dating sites. Women tend to be more honest in the background of those, and so do men, and that's how they can gather up different preferences. And also, what women commonly search for when they're looking for, corn, for instance. What they're searching for there, you can gather the data that way as well. And this is what we come up with. Now, men got all kinds of freaky shit too. Don't get me wrong, right? They got all kinds, like the thing that they one of their top searches, pretty gross, right? But so I understand the both sides thing, right? I'm not even necessarily saying. I've always thought that the thing about this that was so bothersome to me, in a different way, is that women most commonly say, well, if a man spawned in the forest, when they say I would choose him over the bear, he's going to protect me. And I've always thought, well, that's a pretty assumed entitlement, right? It's pretty assumed entitlement that you just instantly assume any man in the forest has some obligation to protect you. Like, I would just be like, well, I'm spawned in with you, but I don't know you. Good luck. Hope you don't die. I'm getting out of this forest now. See you later. But it's always, that has always been the detail of the answer that has bothered me. I understand why. So here, I'll give you an example. Let me give this question back the other way to Brian Atlas and to the gentleman who's there. Would you rather be spawned into the forest with a random bear or with a gay prisoner? Random gay prisoner, so there's no, it could possibly be that he has no intention, of course, of SAing you because it's random, right? But, also is the chance that he could. Would you prefer to be spawned in with the bear or with the gay prisoner? Random gay prisoner, by the way.
Gay prisoner.
Gay prisoner?
Gay prisoner. I take the gay prisoner.
Was he gay
What do you
before
take?
he
You
went
take the
to
gay
prison?
I'm gonna take the human every time because I don't have to do nothing with you, but you're a human. You have arms and legs. You can help me pick some shit up. Like I can't do nothing with no bed.
100%.
Yeah, I think that seems reasonable to me. It's within the confines of reason. It's like, okay, but now they're in the same position you're in. So now they could easily also be overpowered by this person. This person, they even have more information. They know that this person likely has more volatility than the average person. And they are in the same kind of vulnerable position. But according to reason, they go, well, but the chances are still way better, even with a gay prisoner, than they would be with a bear. So this is how you're taking your position, putting it on them, but the answer is far different. And so you kind of wonder why that is. In fact, I would even go so far as to say this. Somebody said with the SA, the dignity aspect, that's terrible for women when they get SA'd, absolutely. But think about it from a man's perspective. For a man's dignity, that's brutal as well. And so yet they're still willing to take the chance the other direction. And so it makes you wonder why.
And
Makes you
really
wonder why
quick,
that
Andrew,
is.
Personal
I
preference.
think even granting if this gay prisoner is like 30% faster and stronger than you still take it.
You still take it, yeah.
Yeah.
I think that you can continue with the conditionals to the point where it almost would seem more reasonable to take the bear. Most men would still take the idea of the gay prisoner because they're just looking at the chances of if a random gay prisoner spawned in with you, this person could at least be reasoned with, and a bear's going to eat your face, right?
Yeah, and I just felt, like I said, it's just real disturbing, this assumed negativity when it comes to men. Like even when he brought up the poll of the women, your first response was, well, where they from? It's like when it comes to these lists with women, all this nuance is required. But when it comes to men, it's just assumed that they're gonna do that. But you don't ask, well, what's his upbringing? What's his mentality like? Where is he from? No, those questions are not asked when it comes to men. When it comes to women, it's like, we need all this nuance. And it's just like, I feel like modern women live in this world betwin fear and fantasy.
I want
They
to bring
watch-
up something
Hold on,
about the
hold on,
poll
finish.
when you're done.
They're in this, even when it comes to stuff that women watch. Women like to watch a lot of, romantic films of these fantastical situations that never happen. And then on the contrary, they like to watch horror and all these crimes of when men are just doing these diabolical things to women. It's like if you're constantly feeding your mind fear and fantasy, you're not dealing with reality, which is in neither one of these worlds. And I just feel like you could just tell when you ask women certain questions that they just really think the worst of men. It's just embedded in y'all. I don't know what's going on today.
I think.
I'm-
Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I'm going to go out on a limb.
Oh, bingo,
Feminism.
got it,
Feminism.
forgot.
I'm
yeah.
going to go out on a limb and assume that the ladies that are answering these polls when it comes to the essay, they're thinking about, okay, I'm fantasizing about someone who is dominant, who is handsome, who maybe it's, I don't know, someone wealthy that's
I don't
just
think we're really
dominating
interested
me
in the poll so
versus,
far. We're more interested in
versus
their
a random
conversation.
man that's
But
coming and
it's
attacking
still,
you.
but I respect that. But you're still just making an excuse because it's a woman instead of just dealing with what it is. Like,
I'm not making an excuse.
no, you are
I'm
because
making an
you
assumption.
added mad stuff to it. You added that she's rich and anybody.
Kind of like you've done earlier.
What did I add? Give me an example.
Like when we were watching the video and you were talking about it.
Give me
Like,
an example. Because you said that I'm assuming that a woman who fantasizes about being assaulted is talking about a man who's handsome and tall. You don't want to be assaulted by somebody you're attracted to. So that doesn't make sense to me. Anybody that you appeal to,
wanna
you
be
don't want
assaulted
them
by
to
anyone.
assault you. That doesn't make sense to me.
There
I don't
was
see how
one
that makes
question
sense.
that didn't get answered. How many women answered in total in the world? How many women answered that poll with that answer?
I'm assuming it was.
I don't know. I don't know what the total of them are. I don't
Because
think it
that's-
matters. Hang on.
It
Yeah, I
does.
don't think it. Hang on. I'm trying to answer.
Okay, sorry.
So I'm not sure that would matter. All you would need is to have a statistical enough sample size that it was statistically significant and the studies that I'm reading say that their sample sizes are statistically significant.
Another thing, who is funding those studies?
Well, most of these are funded by women's clinics, though many of them I would have to look into the background. But most of the time, studies are funded by progressive institutions, not conservative ones. So I don't see how there would be a publishing bias against women exactly.
Because sometimes there occasionally is, depending on who puts on the study. But
Related to that, I have a quick question. She cited this like commonly perpetuated statistic in colleges, 1 in 4. Are you prepared to make the same sort of criticism over the
no, because
the
I've looked
methods?
into that number.
Oh, you've looked into that
I
one.
have.
Okay.
I actually have.
Yeah,
I'm
and
familiar.
Is it valid?
I think that it is very.
So 1 in 4
valid.
women have been like full-blown essayed?
Yeah, I would say more than that.
What do you think about the
of women in
DOJ?
my
What do you think
life.
about the like official like FBI and DOJ statistics
I
where
would
they
s-
actually like they're collecting actual crime data instead of polling random, like they're actually analyzing the crime statistics.
Well, here's the data point that backs up Brian. The data point is that when polled, college students who are male give significantly higher numbers of being essayed than women do.
All I was trying to mention with the poll is that you said that it was gathered from dating apps. Many women are not on
Some of
dating
them.
apps.
Sometimes.
I'm not a-
Pew
I've never been on
Research
a
has
dating
done
app.
these. Many different people have done these. One such study that you can look at, National Institute of Health. These are government studies. Though they don't tell you some of the information that you're asking, and I would have to look into the undercurrent. And I think that that's fair, right, to ask who's conducting the studies and why. They do seem to be statistically significant. So hang on. A team of researchers based University of North Texas and Notre Dame studied 355 women. That's statistically significant. A part of the research involved participants being able to read R-word fantasy scenario over headphones to investigate how aroused they became. In the study published, the Academic Journal of Sexual Behavior, participants were, the number of how many did was kind of staggering, right? So that's just one study, one aspect of this study, but there's other ways that this research is conducted. I can't give you all the details because you don't know them, but it does seem like it's a fairly firm fact that this is pretty common.
Also, the 1 in 4 study, it included things like, for example, catcalling. It included catcalling. It also included, were one of the parties, did they have more than one alcoholic beverage? So they counted consensual sex, but if even both of the parties had had more than 1 or 2 drinks, they counted that as SA. Do you think that that's SA if like...
If someone is, yeah,
No.
if someone is
Wait, absolutely?
intoxicated-
Who said absolutely?
I mean, if both parties are under the influence, is that what you're saying?
Sure, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, well then I guess they're both
If
essaying
both
each other.
parties has had 2 beers, you said that's SA?
Yeah, I mean, because,
2 beers.
well, they still know what they're doing, don't they?
I would say it depends on how the beers
No,
affect.
hold on, stop, hold on.
I guess I'm confused at the question.
So, a man has 2 beers, a woman has 2 beers.
Oh, no.
They have sex. Is that SA?
Oh, no, I thought you meant just if they were intoxicated, that it doesn't count or something. That's what we
Wait, what?
misunderstood. We misunderstood.
This is.
It's too woke. Like, people are
So-
super sensitive.
Wait, hold on,
Real quick,
hold
Brian, I
on.
just want to give you the rest of this. The results of the study, which also explored other sexual and aggressive fantasies, self-esteem, blah, blah, blah. 52% of the women had fantasies about forced sex with a man. 32% had fantasies about being full-on R-worded by the man. 28% had fantasies about forced oral sex by a man, and 16% forced anal sex.
And but hold on. But y'all see how when the data comes, it's always a pushback when it comes to the woman's perspective. Because I've met many women, and they've told me they've taken my hand and put it on their neck.
Oh, I don't know.
It sounds good, but in reality,
There's a difference from being
But they feel comfortable with you.
listen. Violence is violence. I don't even like to play fight. I only like to fight for real. So
You
to
don't.
me, if someone wants to pretend to be rough in a violent manner? Like, how is choking ever it's nothing soft and
But
intimate.
she trusts that person.
I get it, but
so
it's
it's
still
consensual.
it still speaks to the pathology of the woman. My grandmother didn't do that, nor did my mother. They do that today.
That you know of.
Of course, but it's always convenient when it comes to the women. But when it comes to men, it's definitely definite. Like, that's just bias. Like I was saying, most women, to slightly even want your man to pretend to do something that in real life would be negative speaks to the pathology of the woman. Why do you want me to pretend to choke you? When did that become sexual? When did that become intimate? When did that become loving? When did that become becoming of a feminine woman to be choked by her man? It doesn't make sense. Y'all can make all the excuses you want, but it don't make no damn sense.
It's a fantasy.
Part of
Exactly.
it, part
Yeah,
of it
but
actually
I
is
really-
science.
Fear and fantasy, that's where y'all live in.
Part of it actually is science. When you allow a certain amount of oxygen to be deprived from the brain, you orgasm harder.
I want to move
That shit
away.
sound good.
Hold on, guys. Let's move away from. Andrew brought up that one example. I want to move away from the study about women's fantasies. Let's get back to kind of like the meat of the conversation here. So you brought up this 1 in 4 number. Okay. So this includes, I'm just curious here. If the man had 2 drinks, the girl had 2 drinks, is that SA?
Is that what it is according to the study?
I believe there was some component, even consensual sex between 2 people who had consumed some degree of alcohol. They deemed it as SA.
If it's consensual, I don't count it as SA, but
they
It
did.
also depends on body weight. So 2 drinks for a 5'2" nothing versus a 6'7".
I'm sorry, you're not going to be
big.
blackout off of 2 drinks,
No,
even if you're 5 foot tall.
All I'm saying is like alcohol conversion in height and weight for 2 people who weigh very different things might be
I'd
different.
argue men drink more heavily than women. So I gave you an example where it's like the equivalent, but let's say that the man's more drunk than the woman. Is that SA?
Yeah, if he's more drunk,
He's not blacked out.
But how would I don't even understand how you
Men
would
can
gauge
be
that.
raped
Like
by
if
women,
2 people go out and they get drunk, no 2 people are going to have the same level of impairment, right? No 2 people are going to have the same level of impairment. So one's always going to be slightly or even more less impaired than the other person, even if they're both drunk. I don't even know how you would quantify that. Like, how would you quantify that? Oh, well, you had 6 drinks and she had 3, so now you're equally impaired, so now you can have sex? Like, that just seems absurd on its face, right?
okay,
well, sometimes men get also more aggressive when they've had more to drink. So if they're sloppy drunk, they could
So do
still
women.
sexually.
Women get more aggressive when they drink, too.
Women definitely get aggressive.
okay, so if we don't
People
agree
get
with
aggressive.
that study, then let's find another one that says what the
there's
percentage is.
There's the DOJ statistics. Damien, can you try to find the DOJ statistics? But, okay, how about this? A woman has there's no alcohol involved. A woman has consensual sex. She regrets it the next day. Is this SA?
No.
Okay, but
It happens. But it happens.
I want to say a lot of things happen doesn't make it right.
But that happens more than often
It
than not.
does, but that's a whole.
and actually
But it
this
happens.
this affects African American men at higher rates, at very high rates, because there's like this racial component.
That's why I said it's
The Roe v. Wade
White.
was based on a lie.
Who was Emmett Till? Emmett Till.
Don't get me started.
Yeah.
We can go on and on. That's why I said we speak from a privileged position. We speak from
Messiah.
a privileged position. Everybody has a different reality, so you can get away with something that another person wouldn't. It's going to affect them. They might have the legal fees. They might have the means to combat these assumed negative emotions and actions of men as opposed to another man. Like right now, for example, I don't know his income, but I'm assuming he makes more than me. He might can get out of a situation like that quicker than I can based on the words of a woman. So when we just speak these general, like, oh no, it's just like this. No, it's not just like that. It's very nuanced, but it seems like we only show nuance for the woman's side and not for the man's side. Like, we have to be real about this thing. Is people take these topics from these podcasts and they run with it in real life, and people's lives really get jeopardized, especially men. Like the Roe v. Wade thing. That was based on a white woman blaming and I don't want to make it racial, but y'all brought it up.
Wait, Roe v. Wade?
The rape, Roe v. The abortion thing, that was the original, if I'm not mistaken, the original crime was a white woman blaming a black man saying he SA'd her, and from that, she got impregnated. And because of that,
It's a privacy. It's more of anything about privacy.
It was a lie. The woman who the crime that caused that law to come in to be implemented was a woman who lied on a black man who was never SA'd by him, and that they took that story and made abortions legal because of that lie. That's a fact. I think it was a documentary that they made on it off of, what's that show? What's the Candace Owens is on the network. It got
I don't know
Bill
about
Walsh, Matt Walsh is on it too. They did a whole
Daily
documentary
Wire.
about it. They did a whole
Daily
documentary
Wire.
about Roe v.
Daily Wire.
Wade. It was based on a lie.
I don't know the details.
The network is the Daily Wire.
The Daily Wire, yep. They did a documentary on it, I believe, and they was talking about how I believe that situation was based on a woman who accused a man of saying her, and he didn't even do it. And he happened to be a black man. I wonder how his life went.
Okay, this just
Good.
took a lot.
Hey, y'all brought it up.
Here,